Hi, fun seekers. A very good Tuesday to you. A very good Tuesday indeed. I'm going to get straight down to business. As you can see, the subtitle of this podcast episode is "I Don't Like Christians," quote unquote. That's a statement from a friend of mine, and I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to talk about why Christianity is a joke today in the eyes of so many people. But I'm going to interweave it with an announcement and unveil some of the reasons for the announcement. And as you listen, you'll see how this all ties in. I've also decided not to put any commercials into this episode. I struggle with that because putting in some commercials would lighten up the mood of this episode, and if you've ever heard my commercials on other episodes, you know what I'm talking about. Nevertheless, I decided not to put any in because this is in fact a sober topic as far as I'm concerned. So let's get into it. I have just unveiled a project that I have been working on for 3 years maybe. And it is something I am incredibly excited about. And I'll explain why I'm excited about it. It is my first online course. And I plan to release many more in the years to come, God willing. My goal is to release one a year. Now, this first course is entitled Living by the Indwelling Life of Christ. I could have just as easily titled it Learning How to Live by the Indwelling Life of Christ, but that's a bit too long. So I've shortened it up a bit. This is an audio program that contains 10 audio sessions. 9 of them were actual messages given to a live audience. It includes a very detailed and in-depth workbook that has supplemental resources, most of which are free. That would include articles, audios, and practical exercises to put you into the experience of what is being ministered. Now, I want to talk about the reasons why I created this course. Number one, when I posted the first session of Living by the Indwelling Life of Christ on my podcast, it was tremendously popular. I received hundreds of emails from people saying, I want the entire series. At the time, we could not release the entire series because they had to be edited and formatted for public consumption. That took a long time. Not only that, but we paid a transcriber, a professional transcriber, to transcribe all the messages, which are pieced together, excerpt into the workbook. And then there was the audio enhancement, which requires software and lots of time to make sure that the audios are clean, the levels are balanced, etc. So the first reason was because of popular demand. And I felt like instead of just releasing these as podcast episodes like I do with so many other messages I've shared, I thought that the content of this particular series was so important and so valuable that I wanted to make it into an entire course. And I think that people who listen to the messages will benefit a whole lot more that way. Of course, the downside of that is it cost us money to put that together, and hence there is a small fee for those who wish to download it. Number two, I'm not able to accept all of the invitations that I receive to speak in various places. I'm not someone who likes to travel every month or every week, and so I'm rather selective on where I go and speak. Consequently, this limits my in-person ministry. However, to put together an entire course of messages that were given live originally allows people from all over the world, even in places that I could never get to download the material, to hear the messages, to go through the exercises, etc. Another reason why I released it is because over the last 5 years, I have received so many emails from Christian groups, Christian communities. This would include organic churches. This would include simple churches. This would include missional churches. This would even include institutional churches headed up by pastors who have written me saying, we are desperate for content. We are desperate for practical, hands-on ministry. We are desperate for in-depth teaching on the Lord. A book is one thing, and I think books are terrific. If I didn't believe that, I wouldn't write books and release them. But there's something about an audio message that was given live somewhere, coupled with a practical workbook, that really cannot be replaced by either a message on its own in audio form or a published book. And so, because the demand is so great by Christian groups of all forms to have deeper teaching, practical exercises, and hands-on instruction. And so I released it for these groups to give them content. We have a church license that if, for example, your church has 25 people, you can get the course at an incredibly inexpensive price. And then the last reason, there are so many Christians that are in the wilderness, so many Christians that are alone, on the verge of dying on the vine. And books can only go so far. Audio messages in themselves can only go so far. This online course, I believe, will help individual Christians everywhere tremendously to jumpstart their spiritual life, to infuse them with inspiration, to open the door for a new season in their life spiritually. And just based on the comment so far, that is exactly what it has done, and I'm very thankful for that. Now, I want to just say a few words to some of the people that don't seem to get the fact that sometimes resources cannot be made free of charge. Now, before I get into this, let me just say this to you. I have released over 80, count them, 80 podcast episodes, most of which are conference messages, some of which are complete chapters of books, some of which are me speaking about a certain subject like I am now, all free of charge. Anybody can download those anywhere in the world. Again, there are 80 episodes, and I'm continuing to release those at a pace of about 2 a month. So it won't be long until we're at 100 episodes. And I do not plan on ever charging for those podcast episodes. Number 2, I have written over 600 articles on my blog, all of them free of charge. Unfortunately, people take that kind of thing for granted. I know a number of people who charge for their blog posts. The content is so valuable in their eyes that they charge for it. I do not plan on charging for my blog, so you don't have to get your heart medicine out. But I just want you to remember, I don't have to blog. I am under no obligation to write content. I blog 3 times a week usually, and there is a plethora of material, free content. If you go to the archives on my blog, frankviola.org, you'll see all of the articles, or at least the main ones. I do not profit personally from my ministry. When I speak somewhere, I do not demand an honorarium. Now that is unheard of in today's world. Unheard of. I remember speaking at a conference in Tennessee, and the gentleman said, well, we've never had anybody that didn't charge an honorarium, so here's a check with a love offering. We really didn't know what to give you because you didn't ask for anything. He was dumbfounded. And I don't say that to toot my own horn. It's just a conviction I have. Every church I have planted, I have never charged a penny to the people with whom I have served and ministered. And the money that I do receive from book royalties, etc., it either goes into ministry expenses, which unfortunately the ministry does cost money. Even though I write blog posts for free, the blog costs money to maintain. The hosting service costs money to maintain. The domain name costs money to maintain, etc., etc. That's just one small example. But the other thing I use the money for is to help the poor. And as you know, if you've been reading my blog for any time, you know that I have a great burden for those who are not as fortunate as others. And so a lot of that money goes to the poor. Now, why am I saying all this, Frank? Well, we received scores of emails from people saying, we're so thankful that you've put together this online course. We're so excited. The price is a steal for all of this content. And they're saying that because they understand the cost of courses. The average seminary course, hold on to your chair now, hold it tight, is from $300 to $600 per hour. Per hour. Now this course, Living by the Indwelling Life of Christ, is almost 9 hours of content and teaching. Now, multiply that by $300 to go on the low end, and you'll see exactly how much courses of this type. Well, you say, well, this is not a seminary course. Well, put this up against any seminary course and listen to both, and you tell me if one outshines the other. You say, well, it's not accredited. Well, that's true. It's not accredited. This course is not to get you to advance academically. It's to get you to advance spiritually. Now, I have friends who have courses. I've got two in mind right now. Both of them are charging $197 for their course. Then I know another one who's charging $297 for his course. So those who have been thankful and appreciative understand that not only have we given away so many free resources, not only the podcast and all the episodes and the blog and all of the articles, but I've given away books for free. I gave away From Eternity to Here to our subscribers for 2 weeks. Free download. We had thousands of people download it. I gave away the ebook Epic Jesus for a couple of weeks. Thousands of downloads. I'm planning on giving away Epic Jesus again on Kindle and Nook very soon, so you might want to look for that on my blog. All that being said, I have received two, count them, two of some of the nastiest, grossest, ugliest, most vicious emails I have ever received from professing Christians. What do they sound like? Why is Viola charging for this course? He's trying to make money. He's a businessman. He didn't used to be a businessman. Oh, this is awful that you're charging. You're just a peddler. I don't even think that dignifies a response. Except, sir, you don't have any idea what you're talking about. And if you're someone who wants a handout on the backs of people who have worked hard and spent lots of money, and even when they discount something as much as possible, you still demand a handout, and you will vilify people who do not give you a handout. I have no words to say to you. Anyone who would do that and say something like that to someone they don't even know is very, very small in character. We have not so learned Jesus Christ. I have no idea why or how they would be subscribed to my mailing list in the first place. All of the people who are subscribed to my blog and my newsletter and the podcast overwhelmingly are people who are fed up to the Adam's apple of Christians being vicious and ugly and downright wicked toward one another. They are sick of it. I had one very close friend of mine who said, I don't like Christians, Frank. And this is one of the most godly people I know. This is one of the people who has an intimate, close walk with the Lord, and God's favor is on their life. They said, I don't like Christians. I'm a Christian, but I see all of this wickedness aimed at people like Rick Warren, Leonard Sweet, on and on and on. Slander, libel, scurrilous rumors that are completely false, and how Christians will believe whatever they read without going to the person being talked about, violating Matthew 7:12. Treat others the way you want to be treated. No one would ever want to be treated like that. No one would ever want someone else to believe wicked things about them without coming to them and asking if it is true or not. Yet they will do it to others. And this is one of the reasons why Christianity today is a joke to most people in the world. It is because of the sick way that Christians treat one another. And that is a fact, my friends. So, coming back full circle here to the online course, many of you have already gotten copies of it. Many of you have already written into us expressing appreciation, and that is very, very humbling to me. That messages that I brought years ago in the planting of a new church would bless so many people today is just very humbling, and it's an honor to serve you in this way. It is an honor to make this available at such a low price. And by the way, if you haven't seen it yet, just go to frankviola.info, frankviola.info, and you can download the entire course. I believe it will bless you. I believe it will encourage you. And be encouraged. If someone is spewing venom at you, if someone is, because of your walk with the Lord, they are jealous. And jealousy is the root of all anger, judgmentalism, slander, and even murder. This is clear in the Scriptures. I have an article on it. The root of these various things, it is jealousy. It's what was behind the persecution of Paul of Tarsus. It was what was behind the persecution of Jesus and the murder of Jesus. It was also behind the persecution of so many saints of God in the past, whether it be John Wesley, Watchman Nee, on and on. Jealousy. The older you get in the Lord, you can spot where jealousy is at work. It grips some people to the point where they are obsessed. So I have entitled this episode, Frankly Speaking, because I am talking straight, I am talking candidly, and I hope it will encourage many of you, especially those of you who have been subject to some of these things. Now, I will come right around and say this. How you deal with hurt, how you deal with mistreatment, how you deal with people who abuse you, reveals volumes about your spiritual stature. To become bitter, to become angry, to attack those by name who have hurt you, is not to have learned Jesus Christ. And I talk a lot about this in God's favorite place on earth. You know, the Lord was a paradox. On the one hand, he would have the most scolding, hot-boiling, critical things to say to the Pharisees and about the Pharisees. But on the other hand, he would not defend himself. On the other hand, he would not attack those who attacked him. On the other hand, he would not harbor bitterness. And so you can speak straight about someone who is being self-righteous and judgmental, which, by the way, are the twin greatest sins in the eyes of the Lord. It's very clear from the Gospels. You can be straight with those kind of people, as I have in this podcast, but on the other hand, harbor no bitterness, no grudges, no anger. Release those people and go on and do the Lord's work. Jesus showed us this in example, and he says go and do likewise. So that is it for today. I wish you a blessed day and week. Until next time,